and he's first Indian doctor to obtain a diploma in clinical hypnosis from American Board of Hypnosis, USA. Dr. Palan has contributed at national and international levels in the academic journals and books in his fields. Besides being a scholar, he is also a yoga teacher and a guiding light to all his students. I invite Dr. Palan to begin today's ceremony by sharing brief history of hypnosis in India. Sir, please.
Thank you, Nidhi. At the onset, once again, I welcome all our guests. I welcome Dr. Saha, Dr. Kalpanaji, Dr. Pet has come. I welcome all invited guests, and let us have a look at some aspects of history of hypnosis in our country. Am I audible, Nidhi? And
Yes, sir. Yes.
my
You're audible.
presentation is seen?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Right. Now, this topic is very dear to me because I believe that learning history gives us many things. Especially, we recognize the sequence of events and we recognize how the things emerge, how the design of the universe unfold. That is what I learn out of history. And whenever I talk about history of hypnosis, I dedicate my talk to Dr. Rishikesh Jana, pioneer of medical use of hypnosis in India. And I'm very happy to convey all our guests that Dr. Jana's son, Shantanu, is with us. Shantanu, you are welcome for being here. I thank you. Dr. Jana is the first medical person who systematically started exploring in a scientific manner the science of hypnosis. He was professor of physiology at Kasturba Medical College in Manipal, where he happened to witness one student, first MBBS student, demonstrating hypnoanesthesia during the annual day celebration of the college. And he wondered how it can happen. So that student's name is Menon. I think the whole credit goes to that student, first MBBS student, to begin the real scientific study of hypnosis in our country. So Dr. Jana started exploring the physiological phenomena of hypnosis, and that's how the story began. History is made not by big people, nor by big events, but by small events in the lives of people sparked with creative moments. And you know, those creative moments happen according to the design of the universe. And the word which I think Dr. Chopra used, synchrodestiny. So study of history help us in realizing that synchrodestiny, how the things happen, whether those events were positive events, negative events, but appropriate, inappropriate, all those things we see, but that is how the things happen. I would like to spare a few moments for ancient history. You know, in our country, the spiritual scriptures, Vedanta, Vedas are considered to be the first book of knowledge, 4 Vedas, and towards the end of every Veda, there is some portion called Vedanta or Upanishada. So in Upanishada, they talk about various states of consciousness. They talk about Jagrit, Swapna, Susupti, and Turiya Avastha. Whatever description we find about Turiya Avastha, all those are the qualities of what we know as self-hypnotic state or hypnotic trance. Another correlation I found in yoga, in the system of yoga, we have Yoga Nidra. And in Yoga Nidra, for performing Yoga Nidra, these are the steps. Shavasana means muscular relaxation, Pratyahar, inward withdrawal of the senses. That is what we guide our clients to do while they are doing some guided imagery or imagination by themselves. Dharana is with little effort engaging mind in a particular area. And then when gradually the effort is withdrawn and mind starts flowing in an unbroken current towards the particular point, that is called dhyana. So this is how the Yoga Nidra process is described. And I find it to be very similar to hypnosis induction process. With these two remarks, if I talk about that those earlier years in 19th century, 30 years before James Braid, Abbe Feria, a priest from Goa, talked of hypnotic phenomena being dependent entirely on the ability of the subject, just contrary to what Mesmer believed. And that particular ability of the subject, Abbe Feria labeled as apoptis. Apoptis means superior power of concentration. And another point which I would like to note here is James Esdale, an European surgeon. He reported 300 major surgeries and thousands of minor procedures between 1845 and 1850 in Hooghly near Calcutta. So these are those earlier days. But if we look at 20th century and now 21st century, I divide the whole this portion of time into 4 phases as far as development of science of hypnosis is concerned in India. I would call initiation phase, there is a formative phase, there is maturity phase, and now we are in this expansion phase. Some highlights about each phase I would like to share with you. Between 1955 and 1971, I call it initial phase. One gynecologist in Bombay, Dr. Modi, he used hypnosis systematically in his clinical practice of obstetrics, and he made a film as early as in 1958. He made a film on delivery under hypnosis, the labor under hypnosis. Dr. Rishikesh Jana, a teacher in physiology, as I narrated the story, he started studying physiological correlates of hypnosis at Manipal and later at Ahmedabad in Municipal Medical College, where he started teaching since 1959. And he was highly inspired by Dr. Klein, Dr. Hilgard, and Dr. Kroger, who visited India during those years. In 71, Dr. Jana presented his doctoral thesis to Calcutta University on physiological aspects of hypnotic trance, and that was the first doctorate thesis on hypnosis in our country. Then what I call as formative years, from 72, the story begins with foundation of Indian Society for Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis, with Dr. Damani as president and Dr. Jana as secretary. And after 2 years, in 74, Dr. Jana took over as president of the ISCEH. The entire history, what I am narrating, is around ISCEH because I'm connected with that in this vast country, in various parts of the country, parallelly, independently, many people started working, but I don't have exact knowledge about, awareness about that. And I request people in the audience, and I want to search it out, and I'm planning. Yesterday only I talked to Dr. Jain that we can write a history of hypnosis in India. It's a very, it may become a very interesting thing, because every person who came in the science of hypnosis has a story. And all these stories, I've heard of story of Dr. Ramachandran, I've heard the story, my own story is there, and they are very interesting stories, how we came into hypnosis. In 1975, Dr. Hilgard visited India for International Union of Physiological Sciences, and he motivated Dr. Jana to get associated with International Society of Hypnosis, and that's how in 75 we became constituent society with ISH. In 78, through ISCH, Dr. Jana started having organizing basic hypnosis training courses at Ahmedabad and in different parts of the country. And in 1983,
તો એક કામ મને એક આ ગાયનેકોલોજિસ્ટ ને જરા આટલું લિંક મોકલી દે ને કેમ મોકલા એનો નંબર છે મારી પાસે.
Thank you. In 1983, hypnotherapy clinic started at VS General Hospital, Ahmedabad. Dr. Jana started, and here in Baroda, we started.
You're on mute.
Okay. I consider this to be maturity phase between 84 and 2000, when many things happened. In 84, the first National Congress of Hypnosis and Psychosomatic Medicine was organized at Ahmedabad. Dr. Atubai Parikh, a professor of social psychology in MS University of Baroda, and I started weekly clinical meets. We used to discuss our cases and study every week. 1986, Second National Congress of Hypnosis, Psychosomatic Medicine was held at Baroda. And in that, Dr. Bhaskar Vyas and Rajni Vyas participated very actively. And their role then ultimately culminated in the era of propagation of science of hypnosis in India in this century. Dr. Bhaskar Vyas expertised and taught in various parts of the country, and here in Baroda, Ericksonian hypnotherapy. I would call him Erickson of India, Indian hypnosis. In 1987, Psychosomatic Medicine and Hypnotherapy Clinic we started at SSC Hospital, Baroda, where I was working in medical college. And a very beautiful turn came in the history with my meeting with Dr. Kripa Thakur, who was a psychiatrist and hypnotherapist in Canada. He motivated me to take a BMH exam, American Board of Medical Hypnosis, while I was to participate in 11th International Conference. And the exam was held there, and I took that diploma in clinical hypnosis from ABMH, and that created dream in my mind to start systematic course in hypnosis in India, which ultimately realized in 2000. 1988, again, national conference was held in AIIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. In 94, we hosted the conference again in Baroda. And 96, the 5th Congress was held at Ahmedabad. But 97 conference, which was held at Bangalore Nimhans, That was a remarkable event because we invited Dr. Ernest Rossi and Catherine Rossi, and we learned many things from him. He explained his theory of mind-gene connection. He was working on that at that time. And that was again another turning point in the history of the science in our country. During that maturity phase, I would like to mention names of some of the great teachers. Dr. S. Ramaswamy in Chennai, he is, I think, the senior most person in the country now. Dr. Ramaswamy is 92 now, but as he is unable to join on Zoom and this media, we could not have him here today. Dr. S. Ramachandra from Bangalore, Nimhans, Dr. Peter Fernandes from Chennai, Dr. Debasis Bhattacharya from Calcutta, Dr. Athavale from Bombay, Dr. Dayal Mirchandani, who is here with us today from Bombay. These are the teachers who started teaching, and independently, not knowing about ISCAH, Dr. Rakesh Kumar Jain, who is our vice president of this academy today, he started working in Agra, and his main interest remained in regression therapy and past life regression therapy. And now Dr. Rakesh Jain is working at Haridwar in Gurukul Kangri University. So that is that phase. And in, as all other sciences, the science of hypnosis also had a lot of explosion and expansion up in this new century, 21st century. In 2000, Dr. Bhaskar Vyas, Dr. Bimla Parimu, and myself, we could convince MS University of Baroda to start a postgraduate diploma in clinical hypnosis, and we started. 22nd batch came out recently. So the university psychology department started it. And gradually, the colleagues, medical and psychology colleagues, started joining as teachers. I would like to mention the names of Dr. Radha Mohan, Dr. Renu Sharma, Dr. Urminanda Biswas, Dr. Alok Prapanna, Dr. Yogesh Chandarana, Dr. Kiran Singlot, and Dr. Rasmin Sompura among them. They are all here amongst us right now. In 2009, we again in Baroda hosted 7th National Conference, and 8th conference was held at Bangalore. Then again, we had in JNU, Delhi, 9th Congress, and 10th Congress was held at Bangalore again. So 10th National Conferences have been held, and we are now planning in 22, the 11th one by the end of this year. In 2016, because the MS University course is a residential course, people need to stay in Baroda for the entire year, and that many of the senior psychologists or medical people cannot afford. So people wanted some distant learning in hypnosis, and with the cooperation of Charu Seth, I think Dr. Devang Joshi from Charu Seth, his registrar, he also must be here in the audience. So with cooperation of Charu Seth, we could begin online PG diploma course. It's a 1-year course in hypnotherapy, and the first online course in hypnosis. And today we are founding this Academy of Hypnosis. So this is some review about history. Thank you very much.